All right, all right, all right. All praises, all praises. Um, we got a long class today, so we're gonna get right on into it. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Um, Welcome to another War Zone Wednesdays. This is your brother Mahar. We're gonna go around the panel real quick, and everybody, all the brothers, gonna introduce themselves, and then we're gonna get right on with it.
Hey, Shalom, this is Captain Ram. Shalom, Israel. Kwam Yashala.
Hey, shalom, shalom. This your brother Yashua and YAHAWAH'S.
Hey, shalom to the nation of Israel. This is your brother Shapar.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. It's your brother Kazak.
Hey, you from your mic muted.
Hey, Salakia, damn. I kicked over. A whole lot of drama just happened just now, but it's all good. We are we're back here again for another Warzone Wednesday, like I said, and we're gonna get right on into it. Let me get this started. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, let me share our screen. Hey, shalom to the family. Shalom. Hope y'all doing good on this evening. All right. Let me know if y'all can see that. All right. So, welcome again. Warzone Wednesday. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing the second half of the religion and politics. If you recall, the last time that I was up to teach, uh, I was breaking down the religious aspect of this world. Right, our goal is to, or at least us as a collective, is to expose this world, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to expose this world. And the only way that we can expose this world is to do it piece by piece, right? So let's get it in, right? So this week we're going to be covering, like I said, the political aspect of this world, right? So if you weren't here for the last class, this is what we were going over, right? We were going over the religious aspect. We were going over Christianity, right? We were going over Judaism and Islam, and these are the three main religions that were started from the Bible, right? These are the three main Abrahamic religions, right? But we know that the scriptures have nothing to do with religion, right? But your enemy has used our book against us and has dumbed us down, right? And has essentially used our book against us, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to dispel these uh, lies that our enemy portrays, right? To the best of our ability. So let's get going with it. All right. First, we started off with the confusion of Christianity, right? And we know that Christianity is oodles of confusion. Um, we went through. This is a typical family tree that we covered, and it shows all the different religions that were started from Christianity, right? Because Christianity is the main culprit of our people's religious beliefs, right? And from Christianity stemmed off all these different branches, right? And you shouldn't need a flow chart or a tree in order to understand the scriptures, right? Because we know that the Most High is not the author of confusion, right? And it's all stemmed from the Roman Catholic Church, and Christianity was started after Christ's death. And if one of you brothers can grab me 1 Corinthians 14:33, that'd be great, Baba Kasha. We're going to roll into this real quick.
Con, you said First Corinthians.
Oh, Slocky.
You said 1 Corinthians 14:33.
Khan.
Con, it says, "For God is not the author of confusion."
Right. The Most High isn't the author of confusion, right? But along with Christianity, along with these doctrines, this is the confusion that happens to our people, right? We went into Judaism, right? We went to Christianity, went into the Judaism aspect of it, right? And the same people that call themselves Jews, right? But they're really Ishis. They wish they were Jews, right? The whole world revolves around everything that these people do, everything that they touch, right? These are supposed to be the biblical gangsters of the Bible, but we know that that's not true, right? We also went into Islam, right? And this big black box that they walk around and worship and kiss and do all types of disgustingness to. But again, we're going back to exposing Babylon, right? The first topic or the first week of this session was to expose the elites, right? To expose the families that run the world, right? The richest families in the world. We're talking about the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Sam Waltons of the world, right? So this week we're going to be going into religion and politics. We're going to be going into that second half, which is the political aspect. The next thing, I'm trying to tailor this to the information that I'm trying to get out there. But the next one that we're going to be doing is going to be going into the banking and laws section of this world, right? And how they use it to push their agenda even more, right? We got the military or the police next. And then the celebrity high society branch is going to be the last branch. And it's kind of going to tie into the slaves and the captivity. That's going to be covering us and our plights, right? But let's get into the politics first, right? We're going to be covering the history of politics. We're going to be covering the different types of political structure. And political structure essentially is government, right? That is what it is. We're going to be covering the U.S. political system, the current one, right? We're going to see how this political landscape influences our people, right? Because everything that they do, all the laws that they pass, influence our people somehow, right? And then we're going to go into a little juicy stuff. We're going to go into the top 5 government scandals that this government has perpetrated in this world, right? And why this government isn't to be trusted. Okay. So before we can get started learning anything, we have to establish what politics are, right? So we're going to go into a quick definition of what politics actually is, right? Because people have different views on what politics is, right? They think it's a red or a blue thing, right? They think it's a Democrat, Republican thing. They think it's a, some other nonsense in their head that they don't know about, right? But politics is the activities associated with governing a country, a nation, and parties that are established, right? Right now in the current political system, we have the Democrats versus the Republicans, right? We have Trump versus Biden, right? We have, in the past, we've had different kinds of presidents. We've had George Bush, we've had Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, we've had Obama, we've had Trump himself used to be a president, right? Um, Now, one thing actually about Obama, and this is what confuses our people, because he has so-called a black man's face, they don't realize that he is not our people, right? He is not a black man. He is from the tribe of Ham, or he is from the lineage of Ham. He would be what's considered a Hamite, right? It's just as similar as East Indians having dark skin as well, right? But they are not our people. Right? All of us know that they are not our people, right? They don't treat us as our people, and neither do the Hamites, right? So let's go into the history of politics, right? And when politics was started, right? Politics goes very far back, right? Ancient Sumer had politics, and they were established in 45 to about 4000 BC. Um, Egypt also had a system of political, um, a political system, I guess. Let's see what else. The Greeks had a famous political system, and a lot of the politics that are going on now were from Greek and Roman political backgrounds, right? Rome again. Let's see what else we got. So around 3300 BC, this is the known start of the political philosophies, right? Politics uh, were done, or should I say, um, politics, the earliest established political systems were noted as far back as 3300 BC, when everything started shaping up. They had basic systems, right? They had self-governance, they had monarchies, they had everything all the way down to democratic and totalitarian system. Um, the Akkadian Empire actually was actually the first political power, right? And we're going to go into that right now. Um, they were the first empire to have political power in a region, right? And then actually, let's go back. So a lot of their political power influenced the surrounding nations, right? They had a mighty king, actually. Oh, he's not as mighty, but King Sargon. He was one of their biggest political pushers, if that makes sense, right? And then a little bit after King Sargon, and you can all research this as well, also, write it down in your notes, King Sargon, and everything that needs to be researched. But after King Sargon, the Akkadian Empire ended up splitting into the Babylonians and the Assyrians. Right now, the earliest set of laws that people can find, right? Because they ignore the Most High's laws, and we know that the Most High's laws have been since the beginning. Is the Code of Hammurabi, right? This was one of the kings in Mesopotamia, and he's credited with making the first set of laws called the Code of Hammurabi. Um, a big stone tablet just like this, right? And etched into it, it has 282 laws, right? And these were all to govern Mesopotamia. Now, I know our people were there around that time, so our people were following these laws, right? Let's keep going. Now we're going to go over just a few, but there are definitely many. We're going to go over the different political structures, okay? We have monarchies, right? Monarchies are probably one of the first types of political or governing powers that kings would use, right? An absolute monarchy, right? We have uh, aristocracy, right? The aristocrats, the bougie of the bougie. Okay, we have oligarchies. Oligarchies, and I'm going to break all this down. Oligarchies are another form of government that was used to control the people. Okay, then we have what we know now as democracy. Right, we have theocracy, and then we also have tyranny. These are all different forms of government that were used during the day, throughout history, throughout time. We're not really going to cover theocracy and tyranny too much because those are pretty well known. They're pretty short and sweet, right? Theocracy uh, uh, is um, is the rule by the gods, so to speak, or that's the way they portray it. But the way that they do it based on deities, right? They would turn some of the kings, some of the emperors, some of the princes into actual deities, right? And then tyranny is pretty much, a tyrannical, uncontrolled person who does whatever they want, right? But we're going to go over and we're going to decipher through. I think we're going to do just four of them, three or four of them, and then we're going to see how they differ. And then I'm going to have a question for everybody at the end of, breaking these down. And I want to know, what's the difference between them. So the first one we're going to go over is monarchy, right? Monarch comes from the words monos and archo, right? It means absolute ruler, okay? It's a form of government in which one person is the head of the country for life or until abdication. Now, abdication is the act of relinquishing authority, right? It's their time to step down. Now, they do it a few different ways. One is by incapacitation, right? If they, somehow trip and fall down the stairs and now they're, in a coma for a very long amount of time, right? That's one way that they've relinquished their authority. Another way is by coup, right? Where the people were just like, look, we're tired of you, right? We're tired of you and we can't take any more of your garbage. So it's time for you to step down or we're going to kill you, essentially. And then also the last one is death, right? Death is the last incapacitation or the last reason why someone, as a king or as a ruler, would relinquish his throne. Okay. Succession of the monarch, uh, like it says, for the most part, is hereditary, right? It's an inheritance. It usually passes down from generation to generation, right? Um, there's a few good examples of that, and I'm going to bring those out. But a father and his son, right? Essentially. Now, there's different types of monarchies, right? There's a restricted monarchy, which is limited to no political power, right? They're more of like a figurehead, right? Kind of like what our president is, a figurehead. He doesn't have any power. Um, the next one is actually going to be a symbolic, right? It's almost the same thing. They have limited to no political power, right? And then they have what's called autocratic, which means that they have all the power, right? It's very similar to tyranny. They have all the power and they can do whatever they want to do, right? They can have the different titles such as emperor, king, prince, etc. Okay. Um, we're going to go over a few different examples of the types of monarchs, right? We're going to go over, I'm going to combine the restricted and the symbolic almost into the same thing, right? That would be called a constitutional monarch. Okay. One of the first people is this gentleman right here. His name is Hans Adam II, the Prince of Liechtenstein. Right. This is one example of a monarch in the country of Liechtenstein who has no power. Okay. He's just there just to save face. Okay. Then we have this gentleman, Muhammad the Sixth, the King of Morocco. Okay, another one, an example of people with no political power. Okay, and we have this gentleman right here. His name is I'm not going to say all that, but he is Tamim bin. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, that name is way too long. He is the Emir of Qatar. Right, that's down in the Middle East. Emir is kind of like a king or like a prince. Okay. Um, you know, and this is, sort of a funny, but, we have this guy as our current president. And, to me, and I'm sure to the rest of the world, he is kind of also a symbolic or a restricted monarch kind of saying, right? Because he has no power. The people who have the true power are the people that tell him what to do, right? They say jump, he says how high, or he'll just nod off and go to sleep. Um, Another example of the same symbolic or ceremonial monarchs that have limited power, right? This gentleman right here, his name is Henry Grand Duke of Luxembourg. Um, this gentleman right here, Naruhito, is the Emperor of Japan, right? And then another one that we're more familiar with, right? King Charles III. He's the king of the United Kingdom, or king of UK. Recently he had a nice painting done of him. I'm being facetious about it being nice, but it's pretty demonic if you research into it. But and of course, and we have this guy again. He keeps making his face known. What else do we have? Now we're going to have examples of absolute power monarchs. All right, the ones that can do whatever they want. All right, we have this gentleman right here, Salman bin Abdulaziz. He is the king of Saudi Arabia. Okay. We have this gentleman right here who looks like an Ishmaelite Steve Urkel without his glasses. Okay, this is Hatham bin Tariq. He is the Sultan or the King of Oman, another Middle Eastern country. All right, we have, actually, that's not supposed to come up. Well, let's get them all in. Let's get them all in. Might as well. All right, so we're gonna go from left to right. Okay, so we have King Nebuchadnezzar the Great. Right, he ruled from 605 BC. And if you look through the text, we have a lot of information through the biblical text about Nebuchadnezzar, right? He was called the king of Babylon. He was the king of Sumer, and he was the king of Akkad, right? He was called the king of the universe. You got something, King? Is that you, Yashawan?
Oh no, keep going.
Okay, come on. And then we have Pope Francis. Okay, this was supposed to come on last, but he is known as the Supreme Pontiff. Now, if you remember from our religion breakdown on the Pope, he has universal power, right? His word is rule, right? Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar definitely didn't look like that.
Hey, so
What you got?
now I'll just go say something about the Nebuchadnezzar part.
Yeah, bring it up.
That's the spirit, because I was gonna go into that too, because that's like one of the perfect definitions of a monarch. Because if you look at the power that he had, when you read the book of Daniel, and they was building statues of him. He was having every nation bow down and worship his statues and his gods, and if you didn't do it, he had the power to kill you. You see
Absolutely.
that? So that he was a monarch and a tyrant, right? So now I had this quick precept though.
Yeah, bring it out.
I'm gonna go the first Esdras chapter 4. I'm gonna start at verse 3, and I'm gonna read down to verse 8.
Come on, bring it up.
It says, "But yet the king is more mighty, for he is the Lord of all these things." This is going into like a deeper definition or an example of a monarch, right? It says, "And have dominion over them, and whatsoever he commandeth them, they do." So that's going, into that monarch, right? Somebody
Absolutely.
that has complete power and complete control over a kingdom or a government, right? It says if he bid them make war, the one against the other, they do it. If he send them out against the enemies, they go and break down mountains, walls, and towers. If it says they slay and are slain, and transgress not the king's commandment. If they get the victory, they bring all to the king, as will the spoil as all things else. Likewise, for those that are no soldiers and have not to do with wars, but use husbandry, when they have reaped again that which they had sown, they bring it to the king and compel one another to pay tribute unto the king. And yet he is but one man. So like
Mhm.
you was going into, you got certain governments where they got, multiple people making a one decision, but
Mhm.
going into that monarchy, basically you got, one man that's in control of all things, right? It says if he command to kill, they kill. If he command to spare, they spare. If he command to smite, they smite. If he command to make desolate, they make desolate. If he command to build, they build. That was all I had on that.
Khan, and those are mighty points, right? This is, these were, um, I don't want to say excellent examples because, them having rulership over us is kind of BS to me. But these are good examples of what a monarch does. And Nebuchadnezzar, if you remember, wasn't it Daniel that broke down his dream for him for the statue that he had, right? And
Yeah,
then
Daniel broke down all the dreams,
he
all the
broke down
dreams he had.
everything, right? And even at a certain time, Nebuchadnezzar also. I think it's in was it Daniel? Is it 7? I think 6 or 7. I forget where it is. Where of course, Nebuchadnezzar didn't give tribute to the Most High God, right? He didn't give him his honor. And, the Most High God, he brings kings up and he brings them down, right? So he brought down Nebuchadnezzar off of a dream. He told me, you're not going to give me reverence, so I'm going to bring you down. So he made him like a beast in the field, right? And, he was like that for a little while. And, hey, Shalom, Cap, Shalom, Yabashim Yashabrakata, what's going on? Mighty Captain in the house. So, because Nebuchadnezzar never gave reverence to the Most High God, um, he was brought down low. If I remember correctly, his son took over for him, and the son did the exact same thing, right? And the son was eventually murdered. He was assassinated. He was taken out. And then in came the Persians and the Medes. Um, the same thing goes for Pope Francis, right? He thinks he's the king of the universe right now, right? The majority of once you start researching, you start getting real deep into these, this history and stuff. You'll see that they give the Vatican unlimited power, right? If the Vatican says jump, the world has to say how high. And if they don't say how high, off with your head, right? So apparently he is uh, attempting to be the likeness of Nebuchadnezzar. All right, let's keep going on with it. All right, the next one that we're going to touch on, okay, and that was monarchy. Now we're going to touch on aristocracy, right? The aristocrats. Um, just the meaning of aristocracy is pretty crazy, right? It means rule of the best, meaning the best of the best are who's going to be in power, right? Um, when you break that word down, Aristos means the best, and Kratos means power and strength, right? So all power and strength is given into the hands of a small, privileged, ruling social class. Now, aristocracy and oligarchy are pretty similar, right? Because um, aristocracy is actually a branch of oligarchy. Now, oligarchy, and you'll learn this later, once I start bringing it out later, you'll learn the differences between aristocracy and oligarchy. Um, but essentially, um, the aristocrats, they enjoy all of the legal and feudal privileges, right? Feudal is sort of a war term, right? But essentially, what it's saying is that all the people of the land are required to give land, power, and obeisance unto the aristocracy, right? If there was an aristocratic government, they would be the ones that would get all of the um, all of the attention, all of the love, all of the power, all of the land. Like, you had to give them land in order for them to give you land. Now, that doesn't even make sense. That's kind of what we do now, but that's another topic. But good examples, right? Mostly high society with noble blood in them, right? They follow. That's one thing aristocracy follows, is the bloodline, right? They forget about the bloodline when it came to the Israelites, but aristocracy is mostly noble blood. Okay, good examples would be the caste system that they have in India, right? I don't know if you guys can see that, but they have 4 different castes of people, or 4 different levels of people. You got the Brahmin, you got the Kshatriya, you got the Vaishya, the Shudra, and the Dalit, right? The Dalit is the lowest of low, right? They say that you don't touch the Dalit. You don't even go next to the Dalit. So there's a complete night and day between the top of the pyramid, so to speak, and the bottom of it. This is another example of aristocracy, right? The Spartiates that resided in Sparta, right? We know that Captain Shuv, he brought out a mighty lesson about the Spartans. If you didn't see that, you might want to go check it out. It was a while back, but hey, Cap, what do you think? We need to do another one. What do you think? An updated one. But he did a mighty lesson about the Spartans and their link to us, right? The link to the Israelites. Um, another example of it would be the Eupatridi in Athens, right? Athens in Greece. That was one of the cities in Greece. They were high society, high class, noble blood, and rulership was only given to them and nobody else, right? Another example would be the medieval nobility that's in Europe. Now, this is the part that we're up to right now, because the majority of the world is ruled by Europeans, right? The noble blood of Europe, right? When you look into the majority of all of the leaders of the world, the majority of them are from the nation of Edom, right? Whether it be a plain Jane white boy to a Portuguese, right? Um, they are all from the tribes of Edom, right? Mostly. Uh, even when you go into like in Europe, we have King Charles, right? You go into the different countries in Europe, the majority of them are all a part of an aristocracy, right? Let's see what we got next. Oligarchy, right? Now we're going to figure out the difference, if any, right? It's very minor differences between aristocracy and oligarchy, right? It's very similar to aristocracy, but like I said, it's very few minor differences. Okay, the word oligarchy means rule by few. Okay, oli meaning many, and garchy, obviously, the rule of. But one of the key differences uh, between an aristocracy and an oligarchy is the type of people that is running. Okay. One thing that they don't do is you can or cannot have noble blood in you, right? Some of the distinguishing differences: nobility, fame, wealth, education, your corporate status, your religious power, your political power, or your military control. None of this matters. Okay. um, Most modern oligarchies are controlled by private owners, right? It's private businesses. That's what an oligarchy is. And that's one of the main differences between an oligarchy and an aristocracy, right? Aristocracy are noble blood. Oligarchy is run by private owners or private businesses. Okay. Let's see what we got here. They
Hey,
promote their, what you got?
hey, Salakia. So far, it seems like the United States government system falls within all
Mm,
three that I'm
mm.
seeing. This is pretty wild, huh?
Hey, we're gonna keep going. You're gonna see how wild it gets.
Con.
Hey, Salaki, not to go off topic, but did you have anarchy on that list too?
No, I didn't have anarchy. I can give you a short definition. I mean, we can go into it if you like, but anarchy is essentially the missing government, right? They're not ruled by anything. There is no rule, right? There is no oligarchy, no aristocracy, no democracy, none of that. Like it's just complete bedlam. It's rule. Uh, um, Not ruleless, but what's the word that I'm looking for? It's lawless, right? It's like if you think of Mad Max, that's anarchy, right? Did you want
Chaos.
to bring something out?
No, I was just wondering because I was looking for it on that list that you had brought out,
Mm-hmm.
but cause I know how how they teach you about that in school, all the different governments, types and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going over anarchy.
Yeah, anarchy is pretty crazy. Let me pull up a quick definition on it. Let's see. Let's pull this off real quick. Stop this, and then we're gonna go and see real quick anarchy. Right? Can y'all see that?
Currently, I can see it.
Right. It's a state of disorder to absence or non-recognition of authority or controlling systems. Now, I don't know if y'all see what's happening in the world, but this is where we're rapidly going. We're rapidly going to this disorder state, right? Because, people are getting tired of the government, right? People's eyes are being woken up, being alerted to what's really going on, right? The Israelites are waking up in their captivity, right? You got more and more camps that are going out to the corners, to the highways and hedges to compel the people to the marriage, right? And the system itself, that beast system, is not appreciative of it, right? And in turn,
Um,
eventually, it's going to get to that point.
Con. Shoot, really, it's already to that point. If you look,
Yeah.
in the righteous sense, because everything that happened in America is disorderly when it goes to the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely. A lawless people, right? We're already
right.
they're already lawless when it comes to the Most High, right? But now they're going to be even more lawless, and they're going to stop respecting police. They're going to start respecting the military. They're going to start respecting the politicians, the presidents, all of it, right? And then this is where a lot of the breakdown is going to happen. And I feel like, and this is just me being a man predicting, and I feel like this is where that martial law, where they shut down everything, is going to be coming up real soon. You know, all signs, if you're paying attention, if you're being a watchman and you're paying attention to the signs and the symbols and everything that's going on in this world, anarchy is where it's going, right? Let's see. Salakia. But that, you know, that's a great point. You know, where does anarchy fit in all of this? Because it definitely fits. It definitely fits. Um, let's see. Let me get back to it. Slovakia. Let me see where we at. Right, but you know, like Kazakh said, right? They're promoting their own interest. Each of these different types of rule or types of government are showing that America has taken bits and pieces, if not all of it, from um, each one of these structures, and it shows, right? All you see everywhere around is the U.S. promoting their own interest, right? Their interest above everything, their interest above the Most High God, and that's why they're going to be brought down. But also to fulfill prophecy in the scriptures. Um, Oligarchies use other businesses to coordinate their activities, right? Like example would be, um, let's see. Oh, here's a good example in the restaurant industry, right? Say you worked for McDonald's, right? McDonald's is like a mini oligarchy, right? McDonald's has the restaurant, but McDonald's also has farms, right? They have their own farms that they use. So they ignore the local farms and they use their own farms. And what's even crazier is that that same McDonald's farm, they'll try to buy out the local person. And this actually was happening when this, you know, when this whole pandemic first started, was that the majority of the corporations and private owners were buying out all of the farms, all of the independent farmlands, and all of the independent farmers. And some of them were even forcing them out of business, right? And then when you force them out of business, now you're taking over their land, right? You're taking over their crops. You're planting and you're growing all the stuff they. So this, in essence, does the same thing, right? You know, an oligarchy is viewed as it's coercive, right? They always try to get you to do something that they want you to do. But what they do is they rely on the public's obedience, right? And I think this is one of the main reasons, or one of the main things that separates anarchy from one of these other political structures or one of these other government structures, right? They rely on the public obedience and they rely on oppression to exist, right? The same way, just like that precept that that the captain brought out, right? That precept about Nebuchadnezzar and about the king that forced you to do what he wanted you to do, right? Good examples of an oligarchy: China, right? China, if you look at the political layout of China, the power belongs to the top. Um, who's the Chinese president? I forget what his name is. Let me look it up real quick. Slovakia. Xi Jinping, right? He is the head of that board, or the head of that business relationship at the top. The Russian Federation is another example of Vladimir Putin. And it's funny, actually, I was looking at this earlier, but Vladimir Putin told all of the aristocrats or the aristocracy that used to be in Russia, he told them, you stay where you're at, you don't interfere in the stuff that I'm doing, and you'll be able to keep your boats You'll be able to keep your houses, your property, and all that stuff, right? That's kind of crazy. When you can just have that much power where you can just tell somebody, look, stay your ass at home, don't come out, and you won't have to be hurt for it. That's pretty crazy. I've heard of things of him, killing his political rivals, right? That stuff only goes. I mean, it happens all over the world, but it's prominent in the foreign countries, right? In the countries on the east side of the world, right? And then, of course, USA, they try to mirror this oligarchy, and I think I'm going to cover that in the banking and law section. But USA, under the seams, so to speak, or under your nose, they act as a democracy, but in reality, they act as an oligarchy, right? Because the United States is a private corporation. A lot of people don't know that. If you look it up, and you can look it up, the United States is a private corporation. So they would also fall under the umbrella of an oligarchy, right? Did he just say that? He did. He said that. He really did say that. Is this guy making another appearance? What's wrong with this guy? Now this is the one that's going to be the kicker, right? Democracy, right? And this is where you're going to be able to tell the differences in government styles. And this is also going to be the same place that you're going to be able to tell that they say one thing, but they do a complete other. That is the MO of Esau, right? Everything Esau does, he throws the rock and then he hides his hand behind him when you start looking. This is the way that the United Snakes of America operates, right? And you can tell that by the simple definitions, right? Democracy means rule by the people. Now, just off of that one topic or that one statement, can y'all brothers tell me if this country is ruled by the people?
It's supposed to be. That's what they claim.
Right. That's what they claim, but that ain't what it is. Right. To break down the word is demo or demos, right, which means the people. And then it's the other half of the word is kratos, again, the rule of the people. Okay. Right. It says places the power and the rule in the people. This is a hypocritical statement if you look in the world today. It's, hey, like the brother said, this country is a damn facade. And that's exactly what it is, right? They say one thing, but they do something that's completely different. And they do something that's completely against the Most High God, right? Now, here's some of the tricks that they use. The people vote and they elect a specific person to get done what they want them to do, right? An example of that would be if we have 10 people, right? And 7 of them want McDonald's and the other 3 want pizza. If the 3 that want pizza are the United Snakes of America, the 3 that want pizza are going to have pizza. And those 7 that just voted against pizza are going to be ignored. That's how the political process in this country works. This is another lie right here. It provides guarantees for civil liberties and human rights. Now, again, I'm going to go to y'all brothers for this, but you tell me if this sounds like America right now.
La
Right. Civil liberties out the window, out the window. Human rights out the window. Um, let's see what else we got. There's another lie. It was created for fair, just, and equitable treatment. I don't even think I need uh, to continue talking about that, right? Some of the features of democracy are the freedom of assembly. We know that's a damn lie. We can't even stay, and this is just, talking about our camp itself, right? We can't even stay on a corner past a certain time. But yet, supposedly, the Constitution protects rights for us to be able to have the right to assemble, right? We don't have the right, the freedom of assembly.
Salakia, they got them signs that say no loitering,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that's anywhere, any gas station, corner store. And you notice too, the people that own them most of the time be the heathens, but they put up signs that say no loitering for our people.
Mm-hmm. And it's only for our people, right? Because our people are the ones that have to deal with this nonsense, right? Let's look up real quick. Let's look up the definition of what it means to loiter. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. To loiter, right?
Loiter.
It means to stand or wait around idly or without apparent purpose. We have purpose, right? Just because our purpose doesn't match up with your purpose doesn't mean that we're loitering, right? How many times, and I know y'all brothers have told me this in the past, how y'all have gone to malls, right? What'd you say, the Triangle Mall, and you guys get kicked out? Like, where's the freedom of assembly in that?
Yeah, well, they said we was passing out flyers. They said we passing out merchandise or something like that, even though we wasn't selling it. But yeah, we can't be passing out merchandise, what they claim.
Right? Like, and again, this is another perfect example of um, doing one thing or saying one thing and doing another, right? This is the way that America operates. Um, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's see. We're supposed to have the freedom of association, meaning we can be friends or we can associate with whoever the hell we want to associate with, right? Even that in itself, um, if you have a brother that just came out of prison, they tell him, you cannot be around other people that have been in jail or in prison, or else we're going to put you right back in prison. How is that a freedom of association, right? It shouldn't have nothing. What we've done in our past should have nothing to do with the stuff that we do in our future, right? Um, we have supposedly the freedom of personal property. What's free about paying taxes on property, right? What's free about uh, paying for the water that you drink? What's freedom about paying for electricity? What's freedom about, um, being able to just not have to worry about paying tolls somewhere? There's nothing freedom about it. we're supposed to have the freedom of religion. I know y'all brothers can break this freedom of religion down mightily, right? We don't have the freedom of religion. Right? They try to shut us down every chance they get. All right? They try to make these obscene rules and these obscene laws to have our people not do what we do. They try to make it hard for us to do what we're doing. And what exactly are we doing? Right? Exactly. There's nothing free about paying taxes to the heathen. Mind you, again, like we always say, on stolen property, on stolen land. Right? If they were so remorseful and if they were so sorry about the stuff that they've done in their past, then why not give the land back? You won't see that happen. Right? But the freedom of religion is something that we don't have. Right? We have to go by the Christianity aspect of this country. And it's asinine, to say the least. Freedom of speech. I don't think we have the freedom of speech. I definitely don't, but the way that they censor us, the way that they try to kick our channels off, the way that, and Zephaniah, hey, Shalom, King. Yabashim Yashai Barakatah. Zephaniah can tell you. How many channels have y'all lost?
Oh man, probably about 3 or 4. Shalom, Yahabashim Yashai Barakatah.
But does that sound like the freedom of speech?
La.
It sure don't. Right? I see the freedom of citizenship. That's.
Hey,
What do you got?
Salaki, I want to say something about that too, because look, they can take down your whole YouTube channel or block your channel just because somebody make a report about something that they didn't like in your video. Like somebody can say, "I got offended," and then they can report your channel, and then they can block your channel just because somebody feel a certain type of way about your content, right? So how is that true freedom of speech though?
Exactly.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So what if somebody, I go out in public and they having a damn pride parade and they saying stuff that I don't like. And
Right.
I can't report them and be like, I don't like what they talking about. I don't like the message, but they ain't gonna shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? But they shut us down because, if somebody don't agree with what we saying, they shut us down. But if we don't agree with something, they allow them to keep doing it. You see that?
Absolutely. And look, just like the cap says, we just trying to wake up Jacob. That's all we trying to do, right? We
Right.
ain't putting nobody to death, right? We're not putting hands on nobody. Now, Salakia cap, I'm just gonna bring it out because all praise to the Most High. He stuck with you, but in fact, it happens to us. We get hands put on us, or we get cups thrown in our face. We get spit on. We get berated, right? We get put down, and yet nothing happens to the same people that do this, all of this garbage, right? Thank Yahawah that that he was behind the cap, right? But ain't shit excuse my French. Nothing happened to those dirty dogs, but yet they were real quick to try to snatch up our cap. How is that fair? Where's the fairness in any of that? It ain't there. It ain't there. Not one bit. All right. Great point. Right? They were censoring videos on YouTube for suggesting supplements that you can take during this whole jabberoo, right? During the whole pandemic. And all of these channels were getting taken down. They were getting censored. They were getting put away because you don't like what we're saying. It just don't make sense.
Shoot,
No.
they took down Salaki. They took down one of our videos just for saying the word in there. Like if you even said the name of the virus, they'd take your whole video down.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I'm still trying to put up a video, and I know it's never going to happen. But eventually, we're going to have to move our platform, and all the other Israelites as well are going to have to move our platform off of YouTube and onto a private network, right? Onto a private where we don't have to worry about being censored, right? There's a video, and I wonder if I should show it now. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna attempt. Nah, I'll show it later. We'll see, because every time I've tried to upload this video, it's gotten taken down and it's given us a strike. And not one time was any of that stuff talked about. Yet they kept hitting our channels with medical misinformation. But we're not saying anything about nothing medical. We're not giving out recommendations. We're not doing any of that. But, it is what it is. But this is definitely not no free speech. Voting rights, like, we're supposed to have freedom from unwarranted governmental deprivation of rights and liberty. We don't have that. If they pulled us to the side of the road and said, look, empty out your pockets, they'll just walk up to us and just start frisking us. That happened all the time in New York. They just pull cats to the side and just start running through their pockets. Hey, that happens here. When they go through the parking lots, right? Like you got cops shining lights all in cars, trying to see what's in the car to try to build a case against that person or that individual. How is that fair? Where's the right to life? Where's the right to liberty, right? That's breaking literally one of the constitutionally protected rights. I don't know if y'all could hear my air quotes, but they're coming up. There's no fair, just, or equitable treatment when it comes to democracy. Not in the least. Okay. Now another thing I want to go over also, is again more for democracy, but I want to break down that word. All right, I want to break down that word democracy. We have demo, right, and then krasi, or in Greek, kratos, right, and it's supposed to mean the rule of the people. But now here's a problem: is that word demo or demos doesn't really have a clear and articulable understanding or definition. I'll give you an example, right? Demo, right? You got demolish, you got demote, right? You got Democrat, you got demographic, but you also have demon and demonic. So when you try to look up the definition for the word demo, it usually always brings you to something about population or, but it never really has a true understanding of the word by itself. So what I want us to do is to look at some of this evidence that's being provided to find out the true meaning of this word. Now, in my own personal opinion, I feel like the word is short for demon or demonic, right? Because if you look in the world and you see all the agendas that are being pushed, if you see all of the politicking happen, if you see all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, it is all demonic behavior, right? When you have an Edomite standing in the middle of a musical performance with devil horns on his head, talking about satanic practices, that kind of gives me the hint that it probably leans towards demonic, right? And I'm talking about an it by the name of Sam Smith. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it, but it's a pretty crazy video. Let me see if I could pull this up and just real quick show you what I'm talking about.
Hey, Salakia,
What you got?
didn't he perform not too long ago during one of the music award shows or something?
Yeah, man. And this was, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Let me see if I can find it. And if you have the kids around, please put them to bed, okay? Because they don't need to be seeing this stuff, right? So I'm giving you fair warning right now. Put the kids away. Let's see.
Webster Run Store.
30 chairs, non-squeak.
Webster Run Store.
15 non-wobble.
Can y'all see that? So this was the performance that was done last year at the Grammys. He performed a song called Unholy, right? And you see his get up. Now, come on. Now,
Hey,
this,
Salakia, Esau's a red man.
right? He's the red man. Absolutely, he is the devil that the Bible speaks about, and we all know that. And this is supposed to be democracy, right? That right there, it's him, of course, and he's a fruity booty. But this right here, that's standing next to him, this other thing, that's supposed to be a dude also. That's supposed to be a dude. But you can't tell me that something like this is it matches all the actions or all the values of a Judeo-Christian country, because that's what this country was supposedly founded on, and what supposedly continues to push is Judeo-Christian values, right? Yet again, another situation of them saying one thing but doing something completely different that has nothing to do with the Most High God, right? I'll spare y'all this crazy performance, but yeah, it was nuts. It was definitely nuts. But it is what it is. Like this is what this country promotes. This is the government that is around. So, we're going to keep going and we're going to keep looking through this stuff, but excuse me. But we're trying to figure out what that demo means on democracy. Is it really rule of the people, or is it rule of the demons? Which one is it? Let's keep going. Now, another thing we're going to go into, and this is the next section, and this all has to do with democracy, of course, but Aniel, you there, King?
Con.
Can you pull me 2nd Maccabees 4:15 and King Shapar, are you there?
Con.
Oh, damn. Oh, you waking up from a nap. Can you grab me 1st Maccabees 1 and 11? Let's see, where are we at? Let's go to that 2nd Maccabees 4:15 first.
Con, I got it when you're ready.
Okay, Con, let me pull it up right here, Salakia. Okay, 4:15. All right, whenever you're ready, King.
Con, this is the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
And this is what our people like, right? Our people like the glory of the Grecians. And along with the Grecians comes stuff like this, right? This is the glory of the Grecians, right? These are all Grecian activities, right? Sacrificing, right? Having a man think he's a woman and having a woman think she's a man, right? Doing everything that goes against the Most High God, right? And this is what our people like. Our people are used to the glory of the Grecians. Now let's go to that first Maccabees 1 and 11, and you can bring it out when you got it, King Shapar.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
Reads, "In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
Mm-hmm.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow."
And this sounds familiar, because this is the same thing that the Israelites did when they came out of Egypt. What they tell Moses, right? They said, "You brought us out here to die? Let us go back into Egypt," right? So we don't die. They didn't have that faith that they needed. Keep going, King.
Verse 12. "So this device pleased them well.
Mm-hmm.
Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after their ordinance of the heathen."
They went to the king to get a license to sin. And we know that Christ isn't the author of sin, nor did he give license to sin. All right, keep going.
Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Yet again, still following the customs of the heathen. Keep going.
And made themselves uncircumcised.
Now, real quick, Salakia, real quick. Now, how do you make yourself uncircumcised? You make yourself uncircumcised by not following the commandments of God. Right? Because, what does the Most High say? He says, circumcise your mind, or circumcise your heart, which is your mind. Right? So by circumcising your mind, you're keeping the commandments. But when you stop keeping the commandments and you go to the king of whatever nation you're being put in captivity by, and you ask for a license to do those same things, now you've made yourself uncircumcised. Keep going, King.
Come. And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
There you go. And they were sold to do mischief. This is the plight of our people. This is what we go out there to do. We go out there to try to wake up, like the cap said, we try to wake up Jacob, right? Because this is what we were commissioned to do. All right. But supporting this kind of stuff isn't going to be the way that we wake up Jacob, right? And our people need to learn how to get away from this stuff. That's where we try to come in. Let's see, where are we at? Right now, these are a couple of statements that come along with worshiping this democracy or partaking in this democracy, right? Um, let me see. King Kazak, can you read that for me real quick? Can you see that?
God. It says how the political landscape influences our people.
Mm-hmm.
Supporting democracy not only promotes such fundamental American values as religious freedom and worker rights, Salakia, but also helps create a more secure, stable, and prosperous global arena in which the United States can advance its national interests.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can keep going.
Democracies are more peaceful experiences, Salakia. Democracies are more peaceful, experience higher economic growth, and lower poverty rates, protect the environment, provide more clean water, have higher life expectancies, and see more equitable distribution of education.
Now, in those two statements right there, is that what's happening? Like, I know I'm not going crazy,
La'ah.
but I know that stuff is not happening, right? We just went over the religious freedoms, right? Worker rights, barely. A secure, stable, and prosperous global arena, peaceful, economic growth, poverty rates. In fact, the exact opposite is happening. Protect the environment, that's laughable. That is laughable. Clean water, another laughable trait. Higher life expectancies, you lucky if one of our people survives past 18. That's what I was told when I was young, when I was a child in school. I was told that I wasn't going to live past 18, right? I'm sure a lot of these brothers on this panel were told the same thing, that you won't live past 18, right? An equitable distribution of education, another laughable trait, right? They had a program that they started. I think it was it 95 or 96? Let me look it up real quick. But no child left behind. No child left behind. Let's see. When was this started? It was started January of 2002. They signed the law into effect. George Bush, of course, but he signed No Child Left Behind, right? Meaning that they had to push forward. They had to push the child forward in grade, and they couldn't be left behind, right? Like you just had to show up to class, and they pushed you forward uh, in grade. It wasn't because of your educational standards. It wasn't because you could read. It wasn't because you can add 2 plus 2. No, it was because you were breathing and you were in a place where uh, uh, they said it was okay for you to be. But these teachers don't teach our kids. They don't give a damn about our kids, right? You're lucky if you have at least maybe one teacher or even half a teacher that actually cares about your kids and isn't just showing up for a paycheck and for a pension, right? But let's keep going, because I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to check out a couple of videos about these different topics. All right, let's see what we got. Religious freedom. Let's see if this is religious freedom. And I'm sure you brothers have seen these videos. Uh, they're pretty memorable videos. Let's see. Now, this is a video of that one time where Gorilla Hebrew and Deacon, from Sakari, right? Our brothers, shout out to them, where they were out there preaching the word. And of course, who else shows up but that good old Edomite, right? And of course, they get arrested. What they get arrested for, who the hell knows? These people pull statutes out of their butts when it comes down to it. Right? Now, does this look like religious freedom? This doesn't look like religious freedom at all. Right? And this is the same stuff that we have to deal with. For what? Right?
Before I get patted down, why am I being handcuffed? Can I understand why I'm being handcuffed?
Why does it have to come to this? And this is supposed to be a country that you're given religious freedom. This doesn't look like religious freedom to me, right? Let's keep going. This is another one.
If you happen to walk by,
Our brothers at the UPK, right? They are in this video, of course. Well, let's just play the video. Let's see what it says.
are you going to get a bit of shock treatment?
Shock talk meant to stir people of color into action. That's how Commander General YAHAWAH'S, head of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, describes weekly protests he leads outside of the shops at Liberty Place in Center City. This video, taken by the ISUPK, is posted on the school's website and on YouTube. He says he and members of his Christian Bible school are well within their First Amendment.
Trespassing on public streets. Hey, weren't we just talking about Pembroke? We were just talking about Pembroke. They kicked us out of Pembroke because we came to bring out the word. What'd you say, Shapar? You said they called us a bunch of black Muslims? Is that what they said to us?
That's what I was reading on Facebook this week. They done up the security out there, and yeah, they got roads blocked off. So yeah, man, it's crazy out here.
All of this because we're bringing out the word of God. Where's the religious freedom in that? There ain't none. Oh, oops. Dang.
They preach about how they hate white people, how they hate gays, how they're preaching calling.
But that's not what we're preaching. We're preaching what the Lord told us to preach, right? To go against, to preach against Babylon, right? To preach against the United Snakes of America. Let's keep going.
If you happen to walk by,
Let's see this. They talk about peaceful, right? Here's another sister. Now, Salakia for the language. Hey, can y'all hear that?
No, I can't hear it. Yeah, I can't hear nothing.
You can't hear nothing?
Nah.
Damn.
I couldn't hear nothing either.
Oh, does it have no
They just hurt my sister. They just jumped my sister.
Still nothing?
No, I can hear it now.
Yeah.
Oh.
My pregnant. My sister is pregnant.
Towards them.
Go ahead. That's all right. It's fine. They charged my sister though. They disrespected my sister.
Figure this out, please.
You can cuff me.
When I walk up,
Mama,
you're going aggressive towards them.
they try to charge my.
Shalak, it went out again.
It went out again?
My sister just
Okay, it's back.
They hurt my sister. They just hurt my sister. They just jumped my sister is a month pregnant. My sister is pregnant. My sister is pregnant. What? The other girl got mixed. They blind because they east or they white.
Hey, hold on.
So you're hurting my arm. Please,
Stop
please.
pulling away.
I'm not pulling away. I got beat by cops before. I'm not pulling away from you. I'm black.
We're going to go to the office.
Are they going to jump me? Wow.
Let's go to the office.
If it wasn't for Esau, you would be fine, right? Come on. If it wasn't for Esau, I would beat your ass. I would beat your ass. Sign that right, take the kids. Take the kids. I'm gonna leave. All right. No, my sister's pregnant.
Okay.
My sister's pregnant. No.
Okay, stop.
I'm gonna leave. All right. No, my sister's pregnant. No, my daughter is right here. Get off of me. Get off.
And she's pregnant. Right? This sister right here is pregnant. Let me know if y'all can still hear it.
My daughter is out here. You can't be seen. I'm not doing shit.
You notice that bastard's pressing right on her stomach? But this is peaceful.
Wow.
You see the fringes she got on?
Yeah, I've seen it. This is an old video.
Yeah, con.
Yeah, that shit is crazy.
Hey man, that's hard to watch.
Yeah. But this place is peaceful.
You're signing the state.
But this place is peaceful, right? You know, they talk about prosperous growth. They talk about peace. They talk about religious freedom, right? How is this for prosperous growth?
You're signing the state where someone can walk up and touch your 2-year-old kid completely bare naked, and that's not a crime, even if it's on your property.
Correct. Well, so it's trespassing, but what I'm saying is there's no laws against the portion of it. A video seen by at least 1 million people.
So it's okay. Apparently now, it's okay for them to be completely nude, right? Let me see. And this is just to confirm it.
Hang on, people. 3 female, I think they're female, sergeants walking around, and this guy asked them, is it okay to walk around nude in San Francisco? And the sergeant's answer from the ponytail police, all 3 of them are ponytail police, is as long as they're not masturbating, it's okay to be naked.
Wow. One question for you guys. I'm a news reporter. Okay. So obviously there's a lot of nudity around here, men, women, transsexual stuff going on. And there's kids, wandering around the event. I'm not sure on San Francisco's laws or California's laws. Is it legal for nudity to be presented in front of kids?
Nudity is legal, yeah, within certain boundaries.
But what are the boundaries? Do you know?
Nudity is legal now.
Hey, that's crazy. So look, so like you going into it, they mad at us. You know what I'm saying? All we doing is reading the scriptures, right, on the street corners. But look, they allow this madness, where you can be nude in public in front of kids. Like that's promoting pedophilia right there.
It sure the hell is. And as long as you're not masturbating, you're okay to be nude in front of a child. This place is disgusting.
That's madness.
Hey, that's the glory of the Grecians right there.
It sure is.
Yeah, anything coupled with a lewd act or anything being done for sexual gratification that involves other people.
Okay, but this event wouldn't be considered for sexual gratification.
No, if they're walking around and it's out, that's right. That'd be different than if they're masturbating or if they're forcing, like.
Shoot, what you think next? I mean, shoot, eventually it's gonna lead to that.
Eventually, it's gonna lead to that, and that's the sad.
Hang on, people.
That's one of the sad parts about it, right? Let's talk about more prosperous growth. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
Yeah, I can hear it. Is that Trank stuff out there in Philly?
That's the streets of Philadelphia, and of course, our people were there. But the same stuff is happening in New York, Jersey, California. Right? This is Philadelphia. It's happening in North Carolina, South Carolina. Right? If you go over there in Garner, right off of 70, there's a whole homeless encampment right there on the corner as soon as you enter into Garner.
Yeah, that's that. I think they call it that Trank, right?
It's a zombie. Yeah, it puts them into. It's called Trank. Puts them in a zombie-like state.
That's that fentanyl they be using, and they be mixing it with stuff.
But this is prosperous growth. There he goes, making his appearance again.
Hey,
Making his appearance again.
Hey, you know his damn son a dope head though.
Uh-huh. um Now, this next one, somebody grab me Lamentations 4:18 real quick. And hold that in the chamber. I'm gonna press play on this video. But what this video is this is the video the day that poor Tamir Rice died. Right? This is the stuff that we talk about. This is the stuff that we bring out. Right? This is the stuff that we try to show to our people to wake them up from their stupor that they are under.
Like you said, you won at 4 and 17 to 18.
4:18. You want to bring out 17 too? That's cool.
Okay, I got you.
But this is a 30-minute video, right? But look how fast this bastard works. Pulls up with a car and shoots him. Don't ask him no questions. Don't try to see. Don't try to see if he's, it's just disgusting. Bring out that Lamentations real quick, Salakia.
It's Lamentations 4:18. It says they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
And Salakia, also grab me that 17 too.
It says, as for us, our eyes as yet fail for our vain help. And our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
And this is the nation that isn't going to save us. Every nation we've been in captivity with have not saved us. Every place we've been, we've built it up from the ground up. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon. You know what's funny about Babylon, actually, and I was looking at this, I'm going to tell you, they have ziggurats, right? And the ziggurats are very similar to the Mayan and the Aztec temples that they have in Mexico and South America, in Central America. Shit, even some in North America and the Caribbean. They look very similar. It's crazy. But we want a nation to save us instead of the Most High God to save us. Right? Is it because the Most High God requires something of us? I never understood it. Why is it that our people are the only ones that are just completely dumbfounded and oblivious to what our God requires of them?
Hey, Salaki, can I make a point real quick? But no, that's powerful. This video that you showing, because you notice majority of the times these things only happen to our people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You most of the time you ain't gonna see the other nations going through, what the brother went through in this video, right? But going back to that Lamentations 4:17, where it said that we had looked for a nation that could not save us, even when you got this upcoming presidential election, right? You will have most of our people, voting for one of these presidents, and they think that they gonna come into office, and change our situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be the same though. Like the thing that we watching in this video, these type of things not gonna stop happening no matter who in office.
Exactly.
Right. But I wanted to bring out this quick precept. So this Hosea 8. I got Hosea 8 and I'm gonna start at verse 3. It says, Israel have cast off the thing that is good, the enemy shall pursue him. and we just seen the enemy pursuing our brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that happened on a daily basis in every state, in every city, right? Verse 4, it says, they have set up kings, but not by me. So we have set up kings, and that's, what our people do when they vote for all these different presidents, right? They setting up kings. It says they have made princes, and I knew it not. Of their silver and their gold have they made them idols, that they may be cut off. Right? But that was all I had on that.
Yeah, and that is what they do. Right? There's another, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna look for it, but it's when I believe it's in Jeremiah, if I remember correctly. I think it's like Jeremiah 34, 35. I forget. It's in that vicinity, but it's when the Most High is talking to the king at the time. I think was it Jeconiah? Oh, damn it! Which one was it? It was
Zedekiah.
yeah, it was Zedekiah, actually, where he was telling them to not go back into Egypt. Oh, yeah, Salakia. They wanted to go into Egypt, right? And he was telling them, don't go into Egypt, but go to Babylon, go with Nebuchadnezzar to Babylon. And of course, they didn't want to listen. And yet again, they got their asses handed to them, all because they can't listen. Yo, our people are so hard-headed, yo. It don't even make no damn sense how hard-headed they are. But we getting ready to wrap it up soon. I didn't think of, but just got a few more, and then we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. But here's another example of prosperous growth. Let's see if this is prosperous growth or if this is going further down the tubes.
Morning out of Washington, D.C. I just got this video into the live desk from Washington, D.C. police. 2 women you see here in this video are wanted for third-degree sexual abuse after a bizarre incident. Apparently, they were twerking on a guy that you see here that they didn't actually know. This is all in a convenience store. You see that right there. This is a classification of third-degree sexual assault, according to Washington, D.C. police. They are on
What the hell?
Right.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that is madness, man.
Mm-hmm.
That is madness, man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And they don't think twice about it. Like, you see the one in the red, like, what is wrong with you? You go up to a man. First of all, why are you twerking on this dude? You don't know this dude from a hole in the wall. And then you go over there and you trying to grab his junk?
Hey, that's crazy. But what if the roles was reversed?
Oh,
a
man.
dude try to do that to them, man.
Yo, everybody in that store would tackle us. They put us
Right.
underneath the prison.
Yeah, right. They would have stoned us right there.
But this garbage right here is okay. Is A-okay.
Who have not been identified just yet, but something bizarre that just came across the feeds as we.
It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. So I want to finish it off with this, actually. Let me go to, let's see this real quick. Let's go back to this, the topics that we're going to try and cover, right? We talked about, we talked about the, let's see, where we at? Let's see, how can I go back to 7? We talked about, of course, the history of politics, right? The different types of political structure, the governments, the U.S. political system and its current state, which is decrepit. And that kind of ties into how that political landscape influences our people, right? It influences our people by giving them laws that they feel like they can do whatever they want now, right? They look up to the, you know, we say it all the time. They look up to the sexy reds, right? The twerk masters, right? They look up to the I'm having a brain fart. Y'all help me out. They look up to all of these different celebrities, right? They look up to all of
Right.
these politicians. What you say, King?
No, I ain't say nothing.
Oh, okay. You know, and a lot of these things influence our people, and you see the outcome, right? You see the outcome of everything that they do. So now what I want to go into real quick, is the last topic. The top 5 government scandals that I feel like are probably top 5, right? And I have a laundry list of a lot of scandals that has happened in the government. That is a lot of stuff that has happened with presidents. But let's kick it off real quick. We're gonna kick it off with number 1, or should I say number 5, right? And this is a presidential scandal. This is Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Right. And usually what happens, and this is the cold part about it, is that a lot of these things happen. You know, Esau does what Esau does, right? He throws the rock and he hides his hand. So what he does with these different types of scandals is he lets it happen, but in the background, he's doing something else, right? He's signing a specific law into play, right? Or he's taking away our freedoms one letter at a time. Whew. Yeah, that other video was pretty crazy. So let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about half this stuff. Let's check this out real quick.
In 1998, Americans were divided over Bill Clinton's affair with a White House intern. In the 20 years since, those feelings have only grown more complicated. Monica Lewinsky herself has recently said that her thoughts on the affair have changed in light of the Me Too movement. As with Watergate and the current investigations into Russian meddling in the 2016 election, the presidential scandal was also complicated, involving a number of players, allegations, and legal proceedings. On the 20th anniversary of the Clinton impeachment, here's a guide to how it happened. In 1994, former Arkansas State employee Paula Jones sued Bill Clinton for sexual harassment, arguing that he propositioned her when he was governor. A legal group working on the case in 1998 received an anonymous tip that the president had a relationship with Lewinsky, an intern for his chief of staff. That piqued their interest since it could be used to argue this was a pattern of behavior. On January 7, 1998, Lewinsky filed a sworn affidavit in the Jones lawsuit saying she had never had a relationship with Clinton, but she did not know that a close friend, Linda Tripp, had been taping conversations with her about the affair. 5 days after the affidavit was filed, Tripp gave independent counsel Kenneth Starr 20 hours of taped phone calls. Starr had been investigating the Clintons over a real estate venture known as Whitewater, but the recordings allowed him to get permission on January 16th to investigate whether Lewinsky had lied under oath. In a deposition in the Jones suit the next day, Clinton denied the affair as well. This turned out to be a key moment of his presidency. That same day, online news outlet The Drudge Report published a story claiming that Newsweek was sitting on a story about Clinton's affair with an intern. It later published another story that Lewinsky had a blue cocktail dress with Clinton's bodily fluids on it. Clinton again denied the affair, this time on nationally broadcast television, saying,
lying, lying, lying until he can lie no more. Right? But that was the precipice for a lot of laws that he was signing behind the scenes. Right? And one of the most craziest laws, or semi-craziest laws that he was signing into play, was this one, was the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. He signed it into law. And what this did was it allowed the government to set up the foundation, or to set up the groundwork for digital censorship. It also allowed the government to have the opportunity to arrest a lot of Jake, right? Because, you know, back in the day, you know, this might be too old for Yashawan, you know, for the cat, but, you know, back in the day, where you get your bootlegs from, right? Where you get your $5 movies from, you're gonna get it on VHS from the dude down the block, on DVD from the dude down the block, you know.
Hey, hold on, wait a minute. What you mean slow for me, man? You know how many people in the hood was selling stuff like that?
God, but look,
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was finna say, man, you had 4 or 5 people on the same block selling CDs, bootleg stuff.
Absolutely. But now this made it legal for them to arrest those people.
Right.
Right, at a state level. See, they have a federal law regarding this, but when was the last time you seen the FBI pull up to somebody's crib to arrest them for selling bootleg CDs? Right? This right here was a law that passed that allowed the states to take on that responsibility.
Copyright Act, DMCA, signed into law by President Bill Clinton on October 28, 1998, had a significant impact on the digital music landscape. This legislation was initially supported by content industries such as Hollywood and the music business to protect copyright in the age of the internet. However, it included a safe harbor provision that offered platforms hosting user-contributed content protection from liability for copyright infringement by users. This provision became a focal point in high-profile legal battles, including one initiated by pop icon Prince, who discovered a toddler's 29-second home video featuring his song, "Let's Go Crazy," and led to a legal showdown involving YouTube, Universal Music Group, and a Pennsylvania housewife named Stephanie Lenz. Lenz argued her video constituted fair use, and when Universal failed to file an infringement lawsuit within 2 weeks, her video was restored.
So, you know, this laid that groundwork for censorship, right? Because they knew the internet was coming, right? The internet was becoming prevalent. I think it was around, was it 93? 92. I forget when the internet first became a real thing. You know, it started up in dial-up. And then, of course, you know, it's gotten progressively better and faster since then, since dial-up. But again, this laid the groundwork for all the censorship that we see now, right? This is why they can take our videos down. This is why they can send us copyright strikes, because we're showing a video like this, right? That belongs to someone else, but we're using it, fair use, of course. But this was one of the major laws that he signed into play while he was getting his, fix on. Another scandal we're going to talk about, and I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit, is the Iran-Contra affair scandal. Now, what this had to do with was This one necessarily didn't really have a law, but it was prevalent. Let me pull up how real quick. Salakia. So back during the Reagan administration, they were going through, of course, I think there was a lot of conflict still happening in the Middle East and happening abroad and stuff. But one place was Nicaragua, right? There was a lot of stuff happening in Nicaragua. And what they were trying to do was they were trying to topple a government. And they were getting weapons from the United States, from the United Snakes. And this led to, let's pull it up real quick.
America's most notorious presidential scandals that most cost Ronald Reagan his presidency. The Iran-Contra affair. In the early 1980s, the U.S. was still in a Cold War with Russia, and anti-communist sentiment was strong. During his presidential campaign, Reagan promised to assist anti-communist insurgencies around the world. For a brief time under Reagan, the CIA trained and assisted groups fighting communist leaders abroad. Reagan was particularly interested in a group called the Contras and their battle in Nicaragua. The Contras were a group battling.
Hey, Salaki, can y'all hear that?
Okay. The Cuban-backed Sandinistas, a communist group who had seized power in 1979. Reagan called the Contras the moral equivalent of our founding fathers. But much of the Contras funding came from the cocaine trade. Because of this, Congress passed the Bolin Amendment, specifically aimed at keeping American money from funding the group. That happened in 1982, shortly after Reagan took office. The amendment restricted the CIA and Department of Defense from using funds to provide military assistance to groups that were trying to overthrow Nicaragua's government, groups like the Contra.
Mind you, it said that you can't provide funds. That's the key word here, funds.
Funds, not guns.
Exactly.
This didn't stop Reagan. The president told his national security advisor, Robert McFarlane, to help the Contras anyway, regardless of the cost. McFarlane found opportunity in Iran. In 1985, an Iranian-backed terrorist group held 7 American hostages in Lebanon. Reagan insisted his advisors find a way to bring the hostages home, saying, "I want you to do whatever you have to do to help these people keep body and soul together." So with permission from Reagan, McFarlane made a deal. The U.S. would give Iran weapons, and Iran would broker the release of the hostages. This happened even though Reagan publicly insisted he would not negotiate.
Now, Salaki, also, you heard that first part where it was talking about the cocaine trade, right? This was also around the same time where the crack epidemic and the real so-called war on drugs began. He was buying weapons from Iran and giving them to the brothers in Nicaragua. And in turn, Nicaragua would then give drugs to the US. Now, the whole crack epidemic that happened in the United Snakes happened between the 80s and the 90s. I'm no rocket scientist, But I have a feeling that this had something to do with why our people were so strung out on crack and cocaine. Call me crazy. What y'all brothers think?
Hey, if you remember when it first came out, they was calling it freebase.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff was so highly addictive, man.
Mm-hmm.
Before then, it was powder. You know, powder was like considered a rich man's drug. But once they started forming it up in rock form and selling it, it's so cheap like that. It just took the hood by storm, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, and again, the correlation, you know, he may have signed some laws in the back that were pretty important, but the main event that happened then was the crack cocaine epidemic on our people. And this just shows you where they were getting it from. Guns for drugs. And they did it through a third party person, Iran.
With terrorists, and despite the fact that there was a trade embargo with Iran. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. The deal with Iran didn't just secretly secure the release of the hostages in exchange for weapons. There was money involved. While $30 million had been allocated for the weapons, the CIA funneled a portion of that money to the Contras in Nicaragua, the group Reagan supported in their guerrilla fight against the Sandinista government. In 1986, the Lebanese newspaper Al Shura reported the arms deal, and everything began to unravel. That prompted an investigation by the U.S. Attorney General, who discovered that only $12 million of the $30 million actually went toward weapons for Iran. The rest of the money was sent to the Contras in Nicaragua.
So I think y'all get the point that I was trying to make with this this fourth scandal here. All right, so let me go into the PowerPoint again, and let's see what the third scandal is. The Tuskegee experiment scandal. Now, one thing about the Tuskegee Airmen experiment was that it was by the US government by default, right? Because they were providing the funding for the US, I think it's called the US Public Health. Let me find the exact word. I have it here written. But it was the United States Public Health Organization, or where'd it go? Oh, the United States Public Health Service. So this is like the hospitals and all of the Health and Human Services division of the government. They were funding these studies, right? Where it had 600. I'm sure there was more. This is just what probably the numbers that they gave. But it happened in 1932. And about 600 Jakes, right, were given I don't even want to say an experimental. They were given a drug. And that drug turned out bad for our people, for our brothers, right?
A daily dose. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment, a study in unethical medicine. From 1932 to 1972, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment was a study conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service designed to study and observe the natural progression of humans infected with untreated syphilis. conducted entirely on poor, uneducated African American men in and around Tuskegee, Alabama. The study was run in collaboration with Tuskegee University, then known as the Tuskegee Institute, which enrolled 600 African American sharecroppers from Macon County, Alabama, including 399 men with latent syphilis and a control group of 201 men who were syphilis-free. As an incentive for participation in the study, the men were promised free medical care, but were deceived by the U.S. Public Health Service, who disguised placebos, ineffective methods, and bogus diagnostic procedures as effective treatment options. The men who had syphilis were never informed about their diagnosis, despite the risk of infecting others, and they were never informed that the disease could lead to blindness, deafness, mental illness, heart disease, bone deterioration, central nervous system failure, and death. Instead, the men were told they were being treated for bad blood, which was a Southern colloquialism used to describe anemia and fatigue. After the introduction of penicillin in 1947, now the standard treatment for syphilis, none of the study participants were given the antibiotic, while scientists further prevented study participants from accessing syphilis treatment programs available to other residents in Macon County. After the unethical study was exposed by Cub Associated Press reporter Gene Heller, the American public was outraged to learn about numerous syphilis-related deaths in the infected study group, along with 40 wives who contracted the disease and 19 children born with congenital syphilis. The egregious breach in ethical standards led to major changes in U.S. law and regulations concerning the protection of participants in clinical studies, as well as the establishment of the Office for Human Research Protection.
So today, America does remember the hundreds of men used in research without their knowledge and
of course, this scumbag is there.
consent. We remember them and their family members. Men who were poor and African American, without resources and with few alternatives. They believed they had found hope when they were offered free medical care by the United States Public Health Service. They were betrayed.
And there you have it. A bad 40 years for American medical ethics. Today on The Daily Dose, get your nerd on with The Daily Dose and learn something new every day. Subscribe to The Daily.
Okay, it ain't that serious, but that was number 3. 2 more. I'm gonna make them real fast. The gold standard scandal. Okay. Now, this is bunched up into 2 different things. Okay. The gold standard scandal actually it goes on from the Great Depression, which was around 21, all the way until about 1980. Okay. I'm going to run it down real quick for you to explain it to you. But of course, it has to do with, the people that run the country. And if you tuned into the first part of this whole exposing Babylon or exposing the world, you would know that the people who run the country are the elites and their crazy ways.
Almost 2,600 years ago, the first gold coins were minted and used for trade. Later on, people started storing their gold in well-guarded vaults and bought goods and services using the receipts given to them by those running the vaults. Pieces of paper they could always exchange for real gold. That's how paper money first appeared, and things evolved from there. Initially, most currencies were pegged to gold directly, as the name gold standard suggests. People could walk into a bank and exchange a piece of paper money to gold. After 1945, however, this changed. Currencies were pegged to the dollar, which was pegged to gold at a rate of $35 per ounce. Individuals were no longer allowed to exchange paper money to gold, but central banks were. However, countries such as France ended up no longer trusting the US dollar and started converting their dollars to physical gold. The gold reserves of the US were getting depleted quickly, so President Nixon stopped allowing that. He took the United States and thereby the world off anything even resembling a gold standard in 1971. At this point, the money we use isn't backed by anything tangible. Fiat currencies, as they're called, are basically backed by confidence. The dollar is backed by the confidence people have in the US, the British pound by people's confidence in the UK, and so on. The value of one currency compared to another, therefore, fluctuates continuously.
Okay, so just to explain what was happening with the gold standard. So before, in the Great Depression, money was essentially gold. It was actual gold, or what's close to gold. The president at the time, I forget who was the president at the time. Was it Roosevelt? I forget. I got to look it up. But the president at the time signed a law into effect saying that everybody had to give up their gold, right? If they owned gold, they had to give it to the government, and the government was going to keep it for safe keeping, right? So that's when the gold standard started, right? So then they made the dollar, and the dollar was backed by the gold, which in economics means that you can never inflate or you can never deflate the price or the value of the dollar, because it was backed by the gold. This lasted from the 1920s all the way till 1971 or 72. I forget what it is. Because there was an agreement in place called the Bretton. It's called the Bretton. Let me pull it up real quick. It's called the Bretton Woods Agreement, and what that meant was that everybody had a standard, right? And you couldn't vary from that standard. It had, if a dollar was equivalent to 1 pound of gold, then that $1 would always be equivalent to that 1 pound of gold. Now, when Nixon was in office, he signed a law getting rid of the gold standard, right? So now the dollar was not backed by the gold anymore. So now that same dollar is worthless because it's not backed by anything. It is literally monopoly money. And that's what we walk around with today, is monopoly money. Now, I'm bringing this out because this is going to have to do with a future lesson that I'm going to talk about with the banking and the laws. And it's going to have to do with the money and everything that goes on in our bank accounts and all that good stuff. And it's just to show that what we use, we use $20 bills, $5 bills, $1 bill, but they're worth nothing, right? They're good for nothing but kindling. And now, if you're paying attention to the world, you'll see that they're getting ready to get rid of the dollar, and they're getting ready to go on digital currency, which is really worth nothing, right? China already has a digital currency in place. Europe is getting ready to bring their digital currency out in place. A couple other countries on the east side of the world are already using this digital currency. The last one that's left to use it is the US. I think even Africa is starting to do their digital currency. But the United States is the last country that is going to take away the physical dollar and put all of our money into a digital form. And then, of course, if you go to, Revelation, what is it? Is it, damn it, 12? Or is it 6 or is it 13? I forget. I could look it up real quick. But, this is also going into the mark of the beast, right? But, again, I brought this gold standard scandal to sort of get you prepped up for the next lesson that's getting ready to come out. And I'm gonna end it on this last one, and then I'm done. Let's see. This is gonna be the last scandal, of course. And it's this scandal. I don't know if I could say it. I don't know if the the algorithm is going to mute me or not. But this faithful day, right? This faithful day was one of the craziest days, obviously, in human history, besides all the stuff that's happened in the past, in our generation, I guess. And everything in all of our spirits, I'm probably surely told us that this wasn't, something that just happened. This was a planned demolition. Just like now, they're getting ready to collapse the economy is also a planned demolition, right? But then they signed into law a National Defense Act. And that National Defense Act allowed the government to spy on us. It allowed the government to go through our phones, use our phones as microphones to listen to everything that we're saying, to allow them to go into our cameras and watch all the stuff that's going on in front of your face, right? Without you even knowing that they're watching you, right? The CIA has confirmed it. The FBI deals with it. A lot of these United Snakes agencies deal with this surveillance. And this is how they try to keep the population in check, right? If they know, it's sort of like, I don't know if anybody has seen Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Minority Report, and Esau always tells on himself. Minority Report was sort of them telling on themselves that this is what's going to come. This is a precursor. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with, like a similar pre-crime unit. Like, oh, you were thinking this and you were thinking that and you were typing this and you were typing that. And we think that you're a criminal. So in turn, they can use that to further bring the hammer down. But I want to show you two last videos, and that is it. I'm done. Let me stop this real quick. Let me pull them up. Pull them up real quick. Now, this was a video that was shown only one time. One time. And after it was shown, it was never seen again. Let's see what it is.
Outside the Pentagon, CNN's military affairs correspondent Jamie McIntyre. And Jamie, you got very close to where that plane went.
Now, one of the main things about that day was that there were what? 3 planes, right? 2 went into the big building, and then 1 plane hit the Pentagon. But now, as you watch this video, there's a problem. There's a discrepancy because what they say and what happened are 2 different things.
The way is still burning in some part.
So what that was just saying was that there was no 3rd plane, right? Did y'all hear that? Was there sound? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it went out.
Salakia. Let me do it again.
outside. The Pentagon's
Can y'all hear it?
military affairs correspondent Jamie McIntyre. Jamie, you got
Okay.
very close to where that plane went down.
That's right, Judy. A while ago, I walked right up to next to the building. Firefighters were still trying to put out the blaze. The fire, by the way, is still burning in some parts of the Pentagon. And I took a look at the huge gaping hole that's in this sideway. But from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in. And as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around.
Y'all heard it this time, though, right?
Okay.
So, again, like I was saying, they said that there was 3 planes that happened that day. But now this video, which is by one of their main misinformation or lie spreader, is that there wasn't a 3rd plane. So who is telling the truth in this? Right? And we know that Esau has already been caught so many times lying over and over. And just by looking at this one video, and I know that there's so much other proof around, it's like, well, what do you do with this? So what was the reason for it? And the reason was so that they can continue to push the agenda, to continue to push this so-called world domination agenda, right? And the other video, I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. I'll probably find it when I least expect it. But it was a video with a gentleman by the name of Larry Stein, right? He was one of the owners or one of the financiers of the World Trade Center. And every morning at 8 a.m., and this was an interview that he did, I think maybe a couple of weeks after. But he said that he was every morning at 8 a.m. He was Silverstein. His name is Larry Silverstein. Of course, he was an ish. But he said that one thing he would do every morning religiously, Monday to Friday, at 8 a.m., he would be having his morning breakfast and he would have his meeting. And he would be in his meetings all the way until about 12, 1 o'clock, right? But it just happens to be that one day, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. And so were about 3,000 other issues on that day, right? We have friends, we have family that were stuck in that building on that day. I'm sure each and every one of you know or have a story from that day, right? And this person wasn't there. Now, what's so crazy about this person is 2 days before, he filed insurance paperwork on that building. 2 days before it happened, he filled out insurance, what do they call it? I guess an insurance claim on that building 2 days before it happened. And this is all verifiable information that can be searched out, and it's right there in front of everybody's face, right? 2 days before, and then 2 days later, it happened. And that made him about 10 times richer than what he was that day before it happened. So that's all I got. The only question that I can ask is the question that I was trying to ask before is, what type of government do you think this country runs off of? Do you think it runs off of a democracy, a fair democracy? Or do you think it is demonocracy? That's the question I pose. And I'm done. Y'all brothers got anything? Bring it out. Going once. Going twice. Sold to the highest bidder. Hey, and with that, I'm your brother Mahar. This is YAHAWAH'S camp. This has been War Zone Wednesdays. I appreciate y'all brothers and sisters for sticking with us and trying to learn a little something. Hopefully this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And we say Shalom.
Okay, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.